Hey everybody, so I just wanted to make this video to give a brief rundown of the resources that you have to prepare for your FAFSA. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm referencing the email that I have already sent you with some links inside. So the first one is going to take you to studentaid.gov. Please make sure that you're going to studentaid.gov to complete your FAFSA. If you just type in FAFSA in a Google search, you may end up at websites that you don't need to be at. Remember that the FAFSA stands for the free application for federal student aid. So anytime a website or someone is trying to charge you to complete the FAFSA, that is not the thing that you want to do. Okay, so that's going to take you to the federal studentaid.gov website. And up at the top, you should be able to go ahead and sign into the year that you want to complete. So the year that we're doing this now is going to be for the 24-25 school year. Keep in mind that when you're completing the FAFSA, you are completing the FAFSA for the year that you want the funds, the school year that you want the funds. So if you are currently a senior, okay, you're going to be a freshman in college next year, and that is the form that you want to complete. Okay, you will always see two forms out there, the one for the current year, which you would not fill out because you're still in high school, and then the one for the year that you want. So you'll log in with your credentials for that, which takes me back to this email, and I'm going to pull up this FAFSA worksheet that was created. This is a living document. I know you have copies of it, but as I go through and see adjustments that need to be made, I will be making adjustments. So you can use your hard copy that you have, or you can use the link that's there. But this FAFSA worksheet is something that should be done before you even begin the FAFSA. So I would say at least a week before you try to do your FAFSA form, you make sure that this worksheet is complete. Okay. And I just want to go over some information that's in the worksheet. So at the top, you'll see that you're going to log into studentaid.gov. Make sure that's the website. I also have a QR code and a link to sign up for FAFSA assistance. So there are going to be some dates and times that are available that if you cannot process it through yourself, if you think that you need some help, please go ahead and sign up for one of those slots, and I'll be more than glad to help you. I only ask that you make sure that this worksheet has been completed and that you bring this with you. Also, another thing about the worksheet, you're not turning this worksheet into me. This worksheet is going to have personal information on it, and it's only for you, okay, and your folks. All right, the first thing that you're going to need is you need to make sure that you know what your FSA ID and your FSA password is. This is something that we create at the beginning of the year, but if you have forgotten what it is, you need to go through and make sure you set that up. I'm going back to the studentaid.gov account, and like if I go, um, let's see, if I just go to federal student aid, get out of the FAFSA, and I go to log in, I can go ahead and type in my credentials here. Okay. If you forgot your username or forgot your password, those are available for you as well. But it is extremely important that you know this before the FAFSA opens. What's going to happen is when the FAFSA opens, the day or the day after the FAFSA opens, the website is going to go kaplunk. It's going to be so many people logging in trying to get their FAFSA done that if you're just trying to set up account, create an account, or you forgot what your stuff is, you are going to be caught in that big to do of everybody trying to complete their FAFSA. So we want to get as much of this done as early as possible. One of the biggest reasons that it's going to be slammed, remember the FAFSA is first come, first serve for those discretionary funds that your school has. Every school is going to have a pot of money that is separate from the federal government, okay, that they can use and distribute to students at their discretion, and it's usually based off of first come, first serve. So if they got $100,000 up in that pot, they're going to go through the FAFSAs that they have received in order to see who needs that extra money. And once that money is run out, the money has run out. Okay. So that's why it's really important that you go ahead and get yours in. So you need your FAFSA ID. And then basically for this worksheet, these are some detailed questions that the FAFSA is going to ask you and your folks. Okay, so you need to be aware of some of the questions that they're going to ask you that you might need to know. Like, when you were born, what your email address is, like you go to Leeds High School, those things. And so I didn't put those on the worksheet, but here are some questions that you're like, let me make sure. So I want to go through these. Remember, the first 2 pages of this document is for the student. The last page is for the parents, okay? And I'm going to break these down for you. Parents, do not complete the FAFSA for your child. Do not. Students, do not let your parent complete the FAFSA for you. This is something that you all can do together, or you can separately do your parts, okay? But do not, parents, complete the FAFSA for your kid. Kids, do not allow your parents to complete the FAFSA for you. And here's why. You as the student, this is your FAFSA form, which means that if anything is wrong, it's on you. If there are any questions that the school has, they're coming to you. And if someone else is doing it for you and you're not in the loop about it, you're not going to be able to answer these questions. You actually have to certify that you are the one that's doing it. Okay. So a lot of times, or I've seen in the past where parents have gone in to do the FAFSA and they have either done it wrong because they are answering questions as the parent, when they should be answering questions from the student's perspective, or they have forgotten login credentials and all of this stuff. So let's all try to come together. And this is a part of growing and maturing. And once again, I got that sign up there that I can help y'all walk through this process. Because remember, the FAFSA is not a one-time thing. You will complete the FAFSA for every single year that you are going to need aid. So if you are going to be in school for 5 years, you're going to complete the FAFSA 5 times every year that you are going to need that aid. So it's really important that you go ahead and get a great understanding of it now, because you're going to be doing it over and over. Anyway, the next big question that you as students are going to have to ask is your dependency status, whether you are dependent or independent. This has nothing to do with if you work, if you buy the majority of your stuff, we don't care. Okay. Basically, you are a dependent if you live with a parent. Okay. If you do not, then more than likely you are an independent. Okay. Now, they're going to ask you all these questions. You can check if any of these apply to you. If any of these top ones apply to you, you are going to be considered an independent. If they don't, you're going to be considered a dependent. Okay. So if you live with at least one biological or adoptive parent, you are a dependent. If you live with your grandmama, your auntie, they got legal custody of you or guardianship, you are going to be considered an independent. Okay. Now, if you are an independent, meaning that you checked one of these, you do not have to include contributor information. So anywhere where you see this, you do not have to do that at all, because you are an independent and they're only talking to you. If you are a dependent, means that none of these apply. We need to fill out this parent information. Now, who are the parents are what they call contributors. Okay. It should be the biological or adoptive parent that you live with and their spouse. Okay. So I say that because their spouse might be your other biological or adoptive parent. Okay. Their spouse might be your step parent, or they may not have a spouse. Okay. Right? So if you are in situation 1 where bio parent number 1 or adoptive parent number 1 is married to your bio or adoptive parent, you're going to fill both of these out. If your bio parent that you live with has been remarried and they live or are married to someone else, you have a step parent, you're going to fill both of those out. If your bio parent that you live with is not married to anybody else, you're only going to include that bio information. So in this situation, just say you are living with your mom and your dad lives somewhere else. Your mom is not remarried. You don't include any information about your dad. Only the parent that you live with. Okay. We don't need any of his information at all. Okay. In that scenario. All right. So I hope that answers that question. If you have a question about that, please come back to me or send me an email and I'll help. Or you can do a sign up for a FAFSA, for some FAFSA assistance. The next question that they're going to ask you as the student is going to be your financial information, or the next section that you might need help on is going to be your financial information. Okay. They want to know how much money you have as a student. Okay. Now, number one, they're going to ask you about, did you complete taxes for the previous year? So did you file taxes before April? Okay. So this is 2023. So did you file your 2022 taxes? Most students do not have to file taxes because you don't make enough to have to file taxes. Okay. But it's going to ask you, did you file taxes? If you did, you click yes. If you didn't, you click no. Plain and simple. Okay. Then they're going to ask you some information about your savings or retirement. So they're going to ask you how much money you got in your IRA account, your pension account, any college grants, foreign earned income. Most students put zero for this. Remember, the FAFSA is for anybody that is going to school, not just 17, 18-year-olds. So I can actually fill out the FAFSA if I wanted to go back to school. And so, yes, I have pension and IRA and I have that stuff. So I would have numbers for that. But most of the time, high schoolers do not have numbers. So these are going to be zeros in for them. Okay. Then they want to know how much money you got in cash, savings, and in your checking account. Okay. Do you have any investments, including real estate investment, and then any business or investments? Once again, most students are just going to be able to answer that top question. Yeah, I got $100 in my savings account. Bam, that's fine. But most students are not going to have any investments, real estate, or businesses. Okay. But if you do, the next thing that they're going to ask you are the 20 schools that you want to send this FAFSA information to. You can choose up to 20 schools. It doesn't have to be 20 schools. You may only have 3 schools on your list. That's fine. You just list the 3 schools. Okay. But you can list up to 20 schools that they can send your FAFSA information to. So even if there's somebody that's still on the list that you haven't applied to, you can go ahead and put them on that FAFSA. Okay. All right, so that is basically it for the student section. Once the student has entered in all of the information, you're going to submit your part. And once the student submits their part of the FAFSA, a link will be sent to the parent. So parent number 1 and parent number 2, if that's there, they're going to send them that. That's why we needed their email address. So they're going to receive a link in their email that says, hey, Catrice has listed you as a contributor. We need you to log in and now do your part of the FAFSA. So the parent is going to log in using their FSA ID and password. So the parent has to have one. Remember, parents, if your parent has gone to school before, okay, or if you have a sibling who has done this before, they already have an account. So please make sure they know what that account is, okay? So for the parent, so I'm going to be parent number 1. Okay, just say Tyler is filling out the FAFSA. She sends the link to me and her dad, her biological mom, her biological father, both who she lives with. So I'm going to be biological parent number 1. You as the student kind of figure out who that is. I kind of say whoever is the home manager or manages the household is usually going to be parent number 1 because they know all of the information. Okay. So me as parent number 1, I'm going to log into the account. It's going to ask me for my spouse information. Okay. And then it's going to ask me some other information. Now, this is going to be different. So it's going to ask you last year or this year, did you receive any benefits? So did you receive any food stamps assistance, any housing assistance? And you just check those boxes. Then it's going to ask me questions about my tax return. So did I file taxes in 2022? And then it's going to ask me those same questions that it asked the child about my IRA and pension. The only difference in the financial questions that it's going to ask is, did I receive child support for that child? Okay. So if there was child support received, I'm going to put a number there. Okay. And then I am done. Okay. Simultaneously, Tyler's dad, my husband, is going to get his email to complete his portion. Okay. And we don't have 100% guidance about what that second parent looks like. Okay. But from our understanding, that they're going to log in with their FSA ID and they're just basically going to kind of certify the stuff that parent number 1 put down. Okay. Now, I will say this: if you are in a situation in which you parents file taxes together, and the parents are no longer together, whether they are separated or divorced, this is going to be a special situation. I recommend that you set an appointment for that if you cannot follow the steps through. If you are in a situation where your parents, you live in a two-parent household, but those two parents file taxes separately, okay, you can set an appointment for that if you cannot follow the steps of what needs to be done. When you go in and you certify that the student aid or the federal student aid part of the government can access the IRS part of the government, they have all of that information. So some stuff may pop up for that, but you'll see that. Once both parents or one parent, depending on the situation, contributor, that's what we call them, have completed that, then the student is going to get an email saying that the FAFSA was submitted and it's going to be processed. It usually takes 3 to 5 days to process. What that means is that they're going to look through, kind of check to make sure everything was filled out, and then they're going to send you a process successfully email that says, hey, it was processed successfully based off the information that we have received. This is how much we believe that the federal government is going to allow you access to. This is how much you're going to be able to receive in low cost loans. Remember, loans have to be paid back. This is how much you're going to receive in federal grants. Remember, federal grants, that's free money. You don't have to pay that back. Okay. Make sure you keep a copy of that process successfully email, because we need that to submit to the State Department to finalize that financial aid requirement that you need for graduation. Okay, so I will be emailing you saying, hey, can you please send me a copy, forward me a copy of that process successfully email, or take a screenshot of when you log into your account and it says process successfully. Don't email me that you submitted the FAFSA or that it was submitted. You need to wait that 3 to 5 days after it's been processed successfully, and then that's the documentation that we need. Okay, anyway, this was long. I know it, but hopefully it can help you out as you go through and prepare to get the FAFSA done. All right, thanks.